We're not really a fall foliage kind of town, but if you know where to look, I'm telling you, you will see the subtle signs of the season changing. And surprise, some of those plants are actually edible. So today on CityCast Las Vegas, we're bringing back a conversation I had with my co-host, culinary historian Sarah Lohman, about how to forage for edible treats right in your backyard and even the streets. It's Wednesday, October 23rd. I'm Dayvid Figler, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. First off, foraging.
Yeah.
It is such an off-putting word. Like,
is it?
It's too hippie. It's too woo-woo.
You're too much of a city boy. That's the problem.
That is the problem. So,
yeah.
I mean, is foraging for everyone? And follow-up, can we come up with a cooler word for it?
Okay. I do think foraging is for everyone.
Okay.
You don't have to be, like, super intense about it. You don't have to be making your own fermentable sodas, although we could get into that at some point.
Ooh.
Like, for me, it just really represents a connection to the place where I'm living. Like, when I moved here 3 years ago, it was really important to me to learn the names of the plants and what our relationship with them was as people and for the indigenous people here. And that just makes me feel more at home to know my neighbors, both human and plant life.
Yeah, I think like most people, I know what a palm tree is.
Yeah.
I know what a sagebrush looks like.
Yeah.
/ tumbleweed when it's detached. And then it starts to get a little dicey identifying stuff. But that word foraging, come on.
Why?
Is there a better word?
Foraging.
Help me find a better word.
Plant hunting.
Ooh, okay.
Wild eating.
Ooh, wild eating. That sounds fun.
Those were pretty good. I'd have to give some more thought to a third. What do you think? What would you want it to be called?
I don't know. Nature's abundant grocer.
Oh my God.
I just decided that is way worse. So let's jump into the ground rules. If you are going to go endeavor to eat wild, how can we make sure we're doing it the right way?
Okay, so a couple things is, of course, be educated. You know, when we do these, we always focus on things. I always focus on things that cannot hurt you, will not poison you. So, like, we're going super, super safe. But I recommend starting with a book that's appropriate to our environment. My favorite is called Southwest Foraging by John Slattery, available anywhere fine books are sold.
I think we can put that in our show notes.
I think we can too. Hopefully it's at the writer's block, but you could order it online. Great pictures, great descriptions, a really easy beginner's guide. Just like sit down and read a page a night and you're going to learn about your environment. And then I think the other part is where to forage too.
Yeah, I want to go through the potential areas, even the best times of day to go do it. I also want to figure out ways to do it where you're not getting arrested.
Okay, well, there's no arrest unless you are foraging on tribal lands. Don't do that, especially there are protected plants. We don't have white sage here, but there is a whole white sage industry that is destroying wild white sage populations because speaking of the hippies and the white ladies out there, you need to cool it with the effing sage. It's not for you. Make sure you're getting it from a reliable source because there's been a lot of issues with that. The plants that, again, we're going to focus on today, there are no issues. They are abundant. But in general, don't forage on tribal lands. That is not for you. I'd also discourage you from foraging on federal BLM lands for the same reasons. Even though they're federally owned and kind of open to all, like, that's for the indigenous peoples here that still live here, not for you. State and national parks each have their own rules. Many of them are very open about wild eating.
Are they listed online?
Sometimes, and sometimes you have to call or ask when you get there. So I would look for each park individually if you are thinking of doing some wild eating there. Look into it individually and then and sometimes there are statewide policies as well.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about not any of those spaces today.
Okay, and I'd also imagine it goes without saying that if there's a bunch of fences up, that it might be private property and you might get in big trouble if you're like using wire cutters to go get to the good yummies on the other side of that fence.
Leave the wire cutters at home.
Yeah.
A pair of snips can always be good, but anything that's overgrowing onto the sidewalk is fair game. Now, if this is like like your neighbor's tree, it's always nice just to ask. And usually if it's like an urban fruit tree, they're like, yes, please take some. But again, the foods that are some of my favorite that we're going to focus on today are abundant. They are local. You're not going to have a problem here. But those are like the general policies.
Okay, common sense at least.
Yeah.
So what's on the fall menu? What are we going to find in our valley right now that the temps have slightly dropped and folks are outside more?
It really is my favorite foraging season right now. So today we're going to talk about prickly pear fruits, honey mesquite, and screw bean mesquite beans, and acorns.
Okay, let's start with prickly pear.
Okay, so you can find those all over in urban landscaping. Again, if it's your neighbors, please ask. However, there are a ton of giant prickly pear plants on the median of Lake Mead Highway, Lake Mead Parkway?
Lake Mead Boulevard?
Lake Mead Boulevard.
There you
Let's go with that. It's yes. Okay, so in the median of Lake Mead Boulevard, there's tons. You see them in like city plantings all over the place. This is the time to harvest the fruits, not the paddles. You get the paddles and the flowers in spring, but now is fruit time. I've noticed they're a little late this year because we had such a dry summer, but you're looking for really like bulbous, dark, scarlet red fruit. You're going to use tongs to harvest them, like kitchen tongs, and they should come away from the plant really, really easily. That's how you know they're ripe.
Okay.
Throw them in a tote, throw them in a plastic bag, I think is even better. You don't want to touch them with your hands, David, because they've got tiny, tiny little spines on them that just
Hence
burrow.
the prickly.
Ugh, it's the prickly and the prickly pear.
Can you describe what they look like a little bit better so people can identify them quickly?
Sure. Okay, so a prickly pear cactus is the most common cactus in the United States. It has these flat paddles, a variety of shapes. There are many different types of prickly pear cactuses. And it has these fruits that grow along the edges of the paddles that when they're underripe, they're green. They go then from like kind of white, orange, or yellow, and then to red, and then to a deep scarlet red.
So these are the ones when we see common, iconic Vegas cactus, not the saguaro, but the other ones, the kind of low to the ground ones.
Exactly. And not as low. There's also a beaver tail cactus, which is also in parts edible, and those tend to grow very low to the ground. But these, I mean, the most distinguishing feature of them is that they're going to have really bright red fruits on them.
Got it.
And they have kind of these flat, paddle-like paddles.
Paddle-like paddles. I love it.
Paddle-like paddles, like a beaver's tail, but not.
And I guess now is the time to also throw in another common sense, which is don't go running through traffic, y'all. Make sure that it's safe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, you'll just see these in like urban landscape planning all over the place, and in general in public places where nobody is going to care. Or if your neighbor has a fruitful one, you can always ask to take their prickly pears and process them.
Now, do you just pop them in your mouth, or do you have to do something with them?
You do not. Again, we have the thorn situation, the needle, the prickle situation. So just gather them on site. And then when you take them home, the easiest way to process those really awful little prickles off is through fire. If you've got a gas burner on a stove, again, you can use tongs and just hold them in the flames. You can also use your grill or even just like a pit fire and throw them in there. It's just like a quick hot fire. The thorns burn off first, and then they're gone. And that's it. And you pull them out of the fire. It's super, super easy.
So do you eat them warm? What do you do with them?
So the best thing to do with them is press them for juice. Because frankly, they actually don't taste like very much. But the juice is electric fuchsia in this really incredible way that like you don't think natural things should be so brightly colored. And they are extremely juicy. And so you get this sense of why this is such an important desert food source, both for humans and for people alike. So press the juice in whatever way you want to do that. Get those thorns off first. You don't want thorns in your juice, but press it. You can use a blender and strain it. I have like kind of like a fruit pulper for jam or like pie filling making. Save the juice. You can make that into candy or jelly like, they sell at the Arizona airports, the cactus candy. Yeah. You can add it to seltzer or lemonade for that incredible color. And I have a friend who's even making mead from it too. So it's also fermentable.
Oh, wow. Get drunk on cactus. Love it.
Or just like a cocktail ingredient. Like it is absolutely stunning as a visual ingredient. And it is like slightly sweet and a little fruity and refreshing as just the juice.
Hey, Las Vegas, ever look for a sign of what to do? Well, here's one, literally. The Neon Museum is offering a limited time deal just for Nevada residents. 50% off admission to one of the most iconic must-see spots in the city. That's right, half off to explore Vegas history through the glow of vintage neon signs. Just swing by the box office, show your Nevada ID, and you're in. No promo codes, no online hoops to jump through, just a classic local appreciation deal. Make it a night with friends, bring visiting family, or finally check it off your Vegas bucket list. Visit the Neon Museum and let the lights of old Vegas shine for you. Now, this dazzling deal won't last forever, so grab your tickets now and experience the glow before it's gone. Again, to apply the discount, just bring your Nevada State ID card to the Neon Museum and purchase your ticket at the door. To learn more, visit neonmuseum.org. One ticket per valid ID. Expect a haunting good time at the 12th annual Halloween at the Magical Forest. Admission includes rides, the Magical Forest Cemetery Walk, the Forest Express train, nightly entertainment, and trick-or-treat stations. So make a night of it and enjoy dinner at one of the many food outlets, including a beer garden, open select nights for the 21 and over crowd. As one of the primary fundraisers for Opportunity Village, attending directly supports people with disabilities in Southern Nevada. So during the 2025 season, Halloween, it's open October 20th through November 2nd from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 5:30 to 9:30 Friday and Saturday. It's conveniently located right there on Oakey Boulevard near Torrey Pines. Tickets for Halloween can be purchased online at www.halloveen.org. The cost is only $25, and you can stay updated with the nightly hauntings by following the event's social media accounts on Facebook and Instagram at Magical Forest OV. So grab your tickets now, halloveen.org. The Water Lantern Festival is coming back to Las Vegas on Saturday, November 1st at Sunset Park. It'll be an unforgettable evening filled with community, connection, and thousands of lanterns lighting up the water. It's a family-friendly festival that has something for everyone. Food trucks, live music, and activities to enjoy before the lantern launch. Gates open at 3 p.m., the festival runs until 7, and the breathtaking lantern launch begins at 6 p.m. You should head on over to their website and check out some photos from prior events. They really are stunning. And each ticket comes with your very own lantern kit and marker so you can create a personal design, whether it's a message of hope, love, or remembrance, and then watch it float across the water alongside thousands of others. So don't wait. This event often sells out. Get your tickets now at waterlanternfestival.com. That's waterlanternfestival.com. Okay, now you mentioned beans, some kind of beans?
Oh my God, a big old bean. Mesquite trees. Did you know mesquites are legumes? They're beans. They're bean trees.
I've seen what I consider to be like the funky leaves, but those are actually beans?
They're beans, yeah.
I'm so dumb when it comes to nature.
No, it's kind of amazing. I mean, I have a whole pamphlet on legumes of the Southwest, so, this is how I rock my Saturday nights. I think more people are familiar with the wood being used as like a barbecue smoking ingredient, but the beans that they grow this time of year are both very edible, very delicious, and I guess I should say more than both, they are also very nutritious too.
So I said mesquite trees are very abundant. I think they're the tree you see the most, but can you give a quick description of what a bean-producing mesquite tree would look like?
Sure. And obviously what you all should do is look up pictures of them. They're very distinctive. They have several small leaves coming off a single stem. But I think most distinctly, there are two main types that are native here to the valley. There's a honey mesquite and a screw bean mesquite. Both are edible. Honey mesquite beans literally look like beans, like string beans coming off a tree, but they're firmer. And screw bean mesquites are actually like tiny little spirals too, which is kind of wild.
Spell the word that you're saying.
Screw bean, SCREWBEAN. Screw bean mesquite.
Oh, screw, like the fastener.
Screw like the fastener.
Yeah, like the fastener.
The beans themselves grow like a screw, like the threads on a screw.
Wow.
That's the idea. They are edible all the time. When they are ripe and on the tree, you can just kind of chew on them. And they have a taste to me that's a little bit, it's like tart and sweet, like a little like an underripe banana and a little bit like tamarind. But what you really want is for them to dry. And that means that they're going to pull off the tree really easily and feel dry. You don't want to pick them up off the ground because you're processing the beans whole And if there's been a recent rain, they can grow a bacteria that is not good for you.
Ew.
So if you have a mesquite tree that is on your property and is yours, you can put a plastic tarp under it and just collect the beans, every day, every other day or whatever.
Oh, smart.
Otherwise, it's smart to just pick them off the tree. And again, you see these in landscaping, you see them in parks. They are all over the place. And again, native, abundant, there's no risk here. And what you're going to do with them is process them into flour that you can use like a whole grain flour. You can give them a rinse. I have a separate clean coffee grinder that I don't use for coffee that I use to grind these beans. They're pretty firm and they get pretty sticky, so they don't work well in a food processor. After you grind it, you want to sift it, because there will be some like really hard parts of the pod that just won't grind, and you don't want to eat those either. And then you can use it like any whole grain flour. I have some recipes. Maybe we'll put them in the show notes. Maybe we'll put them in the newsletter. Mesquite pancakes are really popular. And Dayvid Leibowitz has a mesquite and chocolate chip cookie that I haven't made yet, but I've heard is incredible.
Famous chef
And writer, author, Dayvid Leibowitz. Mesquite flour is so good, Dayvid. It has this like breakfast cereal-like flavor. It's like fruity and sweet and a little malty, kind of like Cinnamon Toast Crunch meets Fruit Loops. Like, it's so good.
So if we have another pandemic and flour goes scarce like it did the last time, the mesquites are right here.
They are right here. And they're so nutritious. This was a like foundational food source for our native peoples. They've got a ton of protein. There's a lot of fiber and healthy fats. And there's also like important minerals. It has magnesium, niacin, and zinc, amongst others.
Wow.
I know. Mesquite trees are legumes.
So can you eat those direct off the tree, though? I mean, you talked about the processing, which is really neat, but do they have a flavor, a taste when you just eat them right off?
If they're still sort of moist, I mean, if they're dry, yes, you can eat them. It's a less pleasant experience. But it's when like midsummer, maybe a little bit now too. If you're in the higher altitudes, they ripen a little bit later. So by the way, if you're not finding any in the valley, like go up into the mountains a little bit. That's when they have that sort of like tamarind, unripe banana flavor. You can just pull them off and chew on them.
Interesting. Okay, I want to get to your last pick because it's the most confusing to me.
Really?
You mentioned acorns, and when I think of acorns, I think of forest.
Yeah.
I think of Yogi Bear. I think of places that aren't our desert. So where do we get acorns, and what do we do with them?
So we're talking live oaks, and live oaks you're going to find a lot more in Southern California, but they are a tree that is adapted to low water climates. And so you do find them within landscaping here in the valley. So they're not necessarily native to this area, but they are grown in this area, if that makes sense, which is why it's like even a better idea to eat them. I should say, too, that literally all acorns are edible. So if you are in Yogi Bear territory, I mean, check in with your state parks rules. But like those acorns are edible.
With the park ranger?
Yes. Check in with Yogi Bear himself or the park ranger and ask if you can harvest. And all acorns are edible and none of them are poisonous.
Okay, so now we got a basket full of acorns, all set for our picnic.
You can pick those up off the ground, by the way. You're safe with those as opposed to the mesquites.
All right. So if you're not chomping directly into it, how do you process this?
You should not, because they have a shell. So you will break your teeth, Dayvid.
All right,
which is why we can pick them right above the ground. So you got to get the shell off first. Nutcracker, mortar and pestle, or I just smash them with a rock. And then you pull it apart. It's just a nut,
Yeah.
If you open it up and the acorn inside is like really kind of black and shriveled or sort of like dusty, like that's a fungus and you just want to get rid of them. Again, it's in a shell. It's not going to hurt, the other acorns. Just you don't want that one. You want ones that look sort of like luscious and nutty. Mm-hmm. Then you can just pop them in your mouth, but acorns are actually pretty tannic. Like that mouth drying, like in tea and wines.
Yeah.
So like people think they're poisonous because they taste tannic, but it's not poison. It's just the tannins. So you're going to grind them the same way you did with the mesquite, coffee grinder, spice grinder. Then you need to soak them. I actually like using my cold brew maker. It's got like a sieve,
like
a strainer, like a column. I put my ground acorns in there and then I fill it up with water. You shake it once really hard until the water is milky. Then you let it sit until the water is clear in the color of tea, which is about an hour. You shake it again, and then you let that particulate matter settle for another hour, and then you can taste the acorn meal. And if it still tastes too tannic for you, you can repeat the soaking process again with fresh water. And then you strain it, and then it's ready to use, or you can dry it out, or you can toast it. And again, use it like a whole grain flour. Again, I've got some great recipes. You can use this in savory applications like a veggie burger. It's also a traditional food in Korea where they wash the starch out of the acorn flour and make this like jelly treat too, which some indigenous communities in the Americas also made too.
But I gotta ask, Sarah, as interesting as you make foraging seem, like where does it really fit into the average Las Vegan's diet?
I'd love to see it fit into our diet more because I think that there's only a benefit to appreciating native ingredients. And I think that for as much great food as we have in Southern Nevada, there's not as much of a focus on food that actually comes from here. One of the few places I see doing it is Desert Bread, who not only uses a lot of ingredients that are grown in his backyard, but he will do a frangipane, which is sort of like, traditionally it's made with almonds, like a sweetened sort of almondy baking ingredient or like layer in a tart. He'll do the frangipane with mesquite flour, or he'll add mesquite flour into a crumble. He has to get it commercially from Texas, which is one of the few places that like has a commercial mesquite farm. But also like, if you've got the time, it literally grows on trees. These are delicious, nutritious ingredients that are abundant, that are hyper-local, and are literally the flavor profile of where we live.
Now, Desert Bread, I should mention, is a local cottage baker that we have featured here on the podcast, and they do great work.
Oh, no longer cottage baker. They're in a commercial kitchen, but still no storefront. So you sign up via their Instagram or newsletter, you pre-buy on their website, and then you go pick up over the weekend. It's like my favorite bakery in Las Vegas. It's definitely worth the effort.
Well, good for them. Glad to see them expanding.
Yeah, they outgrew.
Yeah, I've waited in the line outside of their former home
to
get some goodies, and it was definitely worthwhile.
They literally done so well, they outgrew that space. So definitely check out Desert Bread LV on Instagram.
Very cool. Well, let's end it this way, Sarah. What would you say to the person who's curious, like me, but also still not convinced, like me, to start grabbing stuff out of the ground or off of trees in the wild?
I mean, Dayvid, maybe you and I just need to start like going on some foraging walks together. It definitely helps to have a more experienced friend. But like, I think the easiest thing to do is just grab that book I recommended, Southwest Foraging, and start there. Sit down and read it. Oh, and then also download the app Seek to your phone, SEEK. I love that because I'll see a photo in the book and then I'll be out in the world and I'll be like, oh, I think that's a mesquite tree. And with Seek, it lets you take a picture and then it IDs it for you. And so for me, it's sort of like backs up what I think I know. Like I learn things faster that way. And then
corroboration.
Yeah, you just kind of like go from there.
Nice. Well, I love the idea of walks this time of year. I love the idea of walks with friends.
Yeah.
And walking with a knowledgeable friend about foraging, such as you, Sarah Lohman. I'm sure there's people that have Sarah Lohmans in their life.
I hope so.
That sounds like the winning equation. Okay, so if I am going to go, you and I should do it together and take a nice walk through my neighborhood, and then we'll report back our findings. How's that?
And can I just say, the 3 plants we talked about today are easy to ID, and they are not poisonous, so they're a great place to start, Dayvid.
And Sarah Lohman, thank you so much for joining us to talk all about foraging / wild eating on CityCast Las Vegas. That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, go tell a friend. You could also rate our show with little stars and such. Leave us a review too, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. And don't forget, you could support this show and get some great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky. Yeah, well, I saw that you won an award.
Oh my God, award winning. I haven't heard it said out loud.